Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome to the secrets of a ghostwriter. I think this is a ghostwriter only topic, but maybe not. A lot of what applies to a ghostwriter does have broader experiences. I want to talk about something that has happened to me less often than more, but there are lessons in it, and that is living with the client. So I always refer to the client, and that's the person whose book I'm writing, as them. When I began this process, I have no rules. I just want to write and I see a good story. As the process begins, and I'm talking 15, 20 years ago, every book teaches you new rules, the culmination of which is this library of course material that we're now doing. So back in the beginning, I felt it was imperative that I sit down with my subject face to face and make notes. Almost the beginning of my experience as a ghostwriter is also the end of that little experiment. So as time goes on, I'm keen to spend as little time as I can with my clients. No, I mean, I'll put that in another way. Firstly, I think it's conceited not to meet them. You've got to, as they say, press the flesh. You've got to be in the same room as them. Now, in the UK, that's obviously a lot easier to achieve than, say, in America, where you could be looking at multiple hours on a plane to get to somebody. Where possible, I recommend it. But when it comes to doing the work, well, we have to talk about boundaries with clients. So my first experience after that initial book where I was with the client on every occasion was that a guy, brilliant chap, Craig Summers, hires a house in Coventry in the Midlands in England. So it's halfway between his and halfway between mine. And we go to the house and we start writing. It's an empty house. It's not our house. So straight away, there's no soul, there's no warmth, there's no energy. And Craig starts with the microwave, the front door, the phone, and a little irritation slightly bubbling that we're not in the zone. And of all the people I've worked with, Craig has been probably the best for being in the zone night after night. He would turn up ready to go. He had prepared for my ghostwriting sessions. What a dream. Now, I had an experience where I moved in with a client in Sweden for 5 days. So whilst you might think that's brilliant because you can take in a general atmosphere that they're not going to share with you. You're going to see photos they're not going to explain. You're going to see how that person is off guard. I don't think it's all that healthy for you, the ghostwriter, because to a degree you're always on. Yeah, it's always work. And then, of course, there are pleasantries. The everyday life becomes part of that relationship, from having a shower to having a meal with them. So you are on. And on a recent occasion, I was invited to, in my little camper van that takes me around the country, park on somebody's drive and go in to do the work. So I would live on their drive for a week. Now, I made the decision before I went to see this person that I did need my space based on the previous experiences. And when I got there, I realized that parking on somebody's drive was absolutely the worst thing that I could do. Because when you've done a session with the client, you need to cool off, but also you want to go back to your base and reflect and probably write it up. It figures that if you are traveling to be in person with the client, that you're going to maximize that time. Chances are you might not know anybody where they live, so you've just got the rest of the day to work. So living on someone's drive is a boundary that I will not pass. So there's 3 examples of attempting to be in the same space as the client. Going back to what is the normal modus operandi, which is working remotely, you still have to have boundaries. So at the end of every week, I will send my client what I'm available for the following week. And what happens after a ghostwriting session is generally a few hours later, the cogs are still churning in my head and the client's head. And you have to make it clear to the client that whilst you're always there for them, you're not. So when it gets into your downtime, and remember, your mental health is absolutely key to you as a writer. One of the problems of working from home is there is no 9 to 5. You just always do a little bit more. So this is a really important point that I've experienced in the last couple of years. I told a client of mine, I won't listen to any of your messages after 7 o'clock at night. And this brilliant client, can you guess what they like to do after 7 o'clock at night? It's wine o'clock, folks. So when I would see the messages coming in and they were regular, I'd just ignore them. And the temptation when you see a message in this fear of missing out society is that, well, I better just listen to this. I better just listen to this. And then you can get into tag, can't you? Back and forth. So with mental discipline that I've not previously shown, I got myself into a mindset where the next morning I wouldn't even listen to them. And the client, of course, can see with all the blue ticks if you've listened to a message, and they will get the message that they've crossed the line, they've crossed the boundary, and after your cutoff point is out of bounds. And I think it's really important because you're going to go through a lot with this client, and the main focus of it is the story. And you don't want anything like a few drinks to blur your relationship. You don't want to get to a point where you're frustrated with the client. You say, look, it's going well, but can you just leave out the midnight stuff? Yeah. So just a few little bits there on boundaries with clients, living with clients. I hope that helps. And I'll see you next time when the secrets of a ghostwriter continues.